going on, Jerome? So the first day of legal tampering of this free agency cycle is in the books, and the Vikings made some moves, and frankly, it's a new day, new dawn with the Minnesota Vikings, and it is officially Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's team, making lots of changes. And yeah. I mean, we could go on about Kirk with the Falcons, which we'll touch on here in a sec. Jonathan Gennard and Blake Cashman outside. How about that? Coming in from the Texans, as well as Andrew Van Ginkel from the Dolphins. So the middle of that defense, that second level of that Vikings defense, is completely made over. Danielle Hunter, DJ Wanham probably won't be back. Jordan Hicks is already out. So it was a very interesting first day. All right, but we're not going to cover them much in the dump because we did individual videos on them. Go check them out. But it's really interesting because, Brian Flores. So it's been reported that Flores is going to be basically running the show in terms of personnel on defense in free agency and the draft, and rightfully so. Plus, we got to talk about him basically being frozen out by the NFL. I think that there will be a wink nudge agreement amongst the owners. Like, hey, this guy is suing the league. Let's make sure he doesn't get another head coaching gig again. And I think that it's unfortunate for Flores. I think that he definitely deserves another head coaching gig, but that could be a huge benefit for the Vikings because I think what's going to happen, Flores is a natural teacher. He's got coaching in his blood, and I think that what's going to happen is he's going to build the greatest defense in the National Football League right here with the Minnesota Vikings, and he'll be here 3, 4, 5 seasons if he doesn't take a college coaching job or something. And just to say F you to the league. And I think that yesterday was a fantastic move. I think, yes, I understand that Grenard and Cashman do have some injury concerns. Oh, what if he's Marcus Davenport? Yeah, what if he's not? I think Grenard and Van Ginkel on the outside are going to be fantastic. Cashman is going to be dynamic in the middle, just absorbing tackles and freeing up Ivan Pace Jr. Woo. That is a core, man. Let's go. Let's go. But with Kirk, so the full details of the Kirk contract came out. So the 4-year, $180 million deal, sticker shock for sure. But also, the devil's always in the details. And the fact that Kirk got $100 million guaranteed in the first 3 years of his deal, that's something that the Vikings were not going to match at all. I still believe that the offer the Vikings had on the table is basically a 1-year guaranteed deal. And it was take it or leave it. I respect the hell out of Kwesi for drawing that line. But Gessling Strib, full terms of Kirk Cousins' deal with Falcons, $50 million signing bonus. So that's big time that he gets that today. 2024, $12.5 million base fully guaranteed. 2025, $27.5 million base fully guaranteed. So basically, they have an out. After 2026, after 2025, $35 million base, $10 million rooster bonus, injury guaranteed for now, fully guaranteed 5th day of the new league year. So basically, they could ride it out, but also they could cut bait after the 2025 season, only have $10 million guaranteed on their books, and then just go from there. Like if Kirk is starting to fall apart, because that would be heading into his age 38 season. And then 2027, which will be his age 39 season, $35 million base, $10 million roster bonus. I think it's highly unlikely that he sees that. Also, incentives up to $2 million a year, which include winning the Super Bowl. Also, he has no trade clause in the contract. Also, probably has a no tag clause as well, but that's really a moot point given the duration of the contract and given his age and the fact that he's been franchise tagged twice. So, the Vikings, we're not going to be in that business. And again, why did the Falcons have to go so hard in the paint? Again, that props to Kirk's agent for creating a market on another because, again, the Vikings weren't approaching this contract. Who were the Falcons bidding against? There was no one else connected with Kirk Cousins. It's kind of amazing, man. Something that was the opposite of amazing was Marcus Davenport last year. Mike Garafalo, go. The Lions have agreed to terms with defensive end Marcus Davenport on a 1-year deal. Souses tell me in Rap Sheet. Following a year with the Vikings, the former first-round pick of the Saints moves elsewhere in the NFC North. And reportedly, it's a 1-year deal, $6.5 million with up to $10 million in incentives, which is kind of crazy because you think about it. So say he doesn't hit his incentives and make it up to $10 million. So $6.5 this year, $13 million last year. That's almost $20 million over the last 2 seasons for. Yeah. So it's absolutely bat bleep insane. Again, Cousins gets this reputation of finessing money out of teams. I mean, Marcus Davenport should be up there too, man. Because last year with the Vikings, 4 games, 118 total snaps on defense, 7 pressures, 2 sacks. I mean, he did have sacks in back-to-back games. And he did look pretty good for the 2 games he was healthy, but no. Also, 2 sacks in 2022, in 2023 was 4 times the amount of sacks that he had in 2022. We fully Lance Armstronged it 2 years ago. Anyways, but Davenport, he does reunite with Aaron Glenn as well as Dan Campbell, Diamond Dan Campbell, because both of them were on staff with the Saints when Davenport was in New Orleans. So, I don't know, maybe it'll work out. I'm just glad that the Lions didn't sign any of the other Vikings defensive end free agents. So, Wanham would have sucked. Daniil would have been heartbreaking. I wonder why Daniil hasn't even been connected to any teams. It's kind of weird, man. But yeah, Davenport last year. Speaking of in-division free agents, Aaron Wilson, NFL, beat writer with the Texans, but very well connected around the league. Vikings are having constructive dialogue with former Packers running back Aaron Jones, with some optimism that a potential deal could be reached for him to remain in the NFC North after being released by the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers. So, yeah, so some of the local Smokies have been on this too, that say that something could potentially be imminent. Now, the Packers really did Aaron Jones dirty. They really did. Where if they're going to cut Aaron Jones, they could have done it before the start of free agency. Let him get a head start. Let him get his foot in the door, because cut players with time remaining on the contracts are free to sign before the start of free agency and open tampering. But the Packers, by the way, Aaron Jones is beloved in that locker room by the fan base as well. Aaron Jones took a pay cut to come back last season, and they absolutely did him dirty. Where now they waited until they secured Josh Jacobs in free agency, and then they cut Aaron Jones, where a lot of the vacancies have already been filled in terms of running back starting spots, as well as a lot of cap space has been already doled out. So they effed Aaron Jones. And that says a lot about that franchise, where you take one of your most popular players, a guy who's already bent over for your team, and gave him the pay cut, and then you're just like, hey, discard you. It's ridiculous, man. But I do like Aaron Jones. He does turn 30 in September, but this is not a Dalvin Cook redux situation. This isn't that, where Jones basically accepted a couple years ago that it was a split backfield with him and A.J. Dillon. And also, he took a pay cut. Dalvin Cook never was interested in a pay cut here with the Vikings. And I frankly think that Aaron Jones at 30 probably has a little bit more left in the tank than Dalvin Cook did at 28 last year. But 889 yards from scrimmage last year, 3 touchdowns. Only played in 11 games. Did have a hamstring injury, but he's a leader, and he would bring some great leadership and stability to that running back room, which is still relatively young. And also, they lost Dalvin Cook 2 off seasons ago, Madison this year. So, and also, Jones, he may be slightly fresher than your run-of-the-mill 30-year-old running back, because he's always had a split backfield. Like, it's never fully been his show. Like, his career high for touches is only 285, combined targets and carries. So it's not bad. So you actually may be a little bit more spry than your average 30-year-old running back. But if he comes here to the Vikings, it'll be a 1-year deal. It'll be minimal money. I wouldn't even expect it to surpass $3.5-4 million bucks. So basically, you're swapping out Madison's deal for Aaron Jones. It's possible. And also, he's not going to be the lead back. And also, it shouldn't preclude you from drafting a running back either. Speaking of running backs, so speaking of older running backs who still might have some mileage, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry definitely has some mileage on him. But Brad Stainbrook put this out. He's a beat writer with the Browns, but connected in the AFC North. Sous's Ravens' current offer to free agent running back Derrick Henry is in the range of $6.5 million per year. I would pay $7. Kwesi, get on the horn. Get on the horn to have Derrick Henry be that short yardage hammer to pair with Ty Chandler, and then go from there. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. One unfortunate side effect of the Vikings bringing Blake Cashman back to the great state of Minnesota is Jordan Hicks. He deemed expendable after Cashman came in at off-ball. He signs a 2-year deal worth $8 million bucks with the Browns. I'm happy for him. The former Texas Longhorn, hook 'em baby. You could easily say that Jordan Hicks was one of the Vikings defensive players who thrived the most and benefited the most with the switch to Flores. Hicks was not great under Donishell, but they held on to him. They let go of Eric Hendricks and Hicks before he banged up his shin and had to have that gruesome looking surgery. I mean, Hicks was fantastic. Hicks was really damn good. So big time respect there. Good dude, great in the community, team captain, all that stuff. So glad to see Hicks join up with a great defense, man. I mean, Jim Schwartz. So Jim Schwartz was very pupe as a head coach, but he's great as a coordinator. I think that he's just one of those guys that isn't meant to be a head coach, but he's great coordinating one side of the rock. So there you go. Props to Jordan Hicks. Also, Vikings taking care of two of their own offensive linemen. Gessling, Strib, go. David Queenberry, his contract with the Vikings is a 1-year, $1.885 million deal with $1.375 million guaranteed. $625,000 signing bonus, blah, 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 blah. Basically, a little bit north of league minimum for a player of his years of service. And Queensberry, he is 34, but he was really solid last year as a swing backup tackle through injuries. For when Darrisaw got dinged up, O'Neal got dinged up. And also remember, Oli Udoh tore his quad week 2 against the Eagles, and Oli was supposed to be the swing tackle. Then they brought aboard Queensberry, and I mean, he's been good. I mean, he's been solid. 331 snaps last year, a mix of left tackle and right tackle. Played in 16 games, mostly special teams. Did see offensive action in 6 of those games. Only allowed 1 sack and 16 pressures. And, by all regards, like, he's seen as like the solid elder statesman. It's good to have a veteran presence along that offensive line, and he's good. I mean, it's very valuable to have a backup that can fill in at either left or right tackle if you feel comfortable in. So I'm glad to see him get a little bit of cash. Glad to see that he got the $1.375 million guaranteed. And props. We're very happy to have him. Now, this one's interesting. So we're going to explore this one more in a video probably later this week. But so Blake Brandel got paid just a little bit. So Aaron Wilson again. Vikings Blake Brandel, 3 years, $9.5 million, $4.75 million guaranteed, $2 million signing bonus. So that's some big-time cash for what's seen as a backup. Now, it does raise an eyebrow. Do the Vikings see Brandel as a high-level backup, or do they see him as a guy that could potentially push to start? Now, like I said, the money's not insane for a backup because they had Oli Udoh back last year, I believe, like a 1-year, $2.7 million deal. So, I mean, $3 million is sort of the line of demarcation where it starts to get a little bit, dicey in terms of a backup offensive lineman. But 3 years, 9.75, so significant investment in time as well as the $4.75 million guarantee. That's serious business. And Brandel is great. I mean, he came in as a 6th-round pick in 2020. Out of Oregon State. He was a true blue left tackle for the Beavers. He battled against Chase Young very nicely in Oregon State's game at the Shoe against The Ohio State back when they were in college. But he's valuable because he can back up 4 spots. Left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard. He's 6'7", he's 315. And do they see him as more than just a backup? I don't know. Man. But could it also be a hedge just in case Dalton Reisner is not back? Brandel did have 2 starts last year, both at right guard. This is interesting. And also, you look at the amount of money that guards are getting, 18, 19, 20 million bucks per year. You look at Robert Hunt, you look at Damian Lewis, you look at Jonah Jackson, Kevin Dotson. Like, there's big time money for guards. So maybe the idea of re-signing Reisner at $8-9 million a year, maybe that's going bye-bye. And maybe that's why the Vikings are just sort of covering their ass here with Brandel. So we'll see. But, yeah, it's a long day living in Reseda. But day 2 of legal tampering is going to be on today. I'm sure the Vikings will be very active, taking care of their own. Some of their free agents going elsewhere. Daniil's still looking for a home. DJ Wanham's still looking for a home. Maybe we'll have some decisions on Dean Lowry, Harrison Smith. Can we see a Brian O'Neill trade? I'm sort of calling my shot. I don't think that it would be insane if the Vikings trade Brian O'Neill. But anyways, you guys know what to do. Happy Tuesday. Skull production value.